Make me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring your love. When there is injury, your pardon, Lord. And where there's doubt, true faith in you. Make me a channel of your peace.
Hello, like Castorena, this is Visions of Inspiration. Welcome to the show. I've got my co-host here, and I'm so excited when I have him here. He's so much fun. I'd like to introduce my co-host, Reverend John Hirano. What a pleasure.
How are you today?
Awesome. Well, you've got a wonderful guest here. We've got some beautiful things here. So how about sharing a little bit about your guest?
Well, this guest today is one of my most favorite people, and I'm actually a student of hers.
Ooh.
And she's a great teacher, and she's got an incredible gift of sharing and instructing. She's an amazing teacher, but she teaches all about paint from inner knowing.
Ooh.
And this is all about using your intuitive connection in order to create these amazing pieces that she's brought here today to share with us. So her name is Linnea Hailey. This is Carolina Castorena.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here. I love these pictures.
Thank you.
Can you share a little bit about them?
Yes.
Okay, let's start with, which one do you want to start with?
Probably the one that's behind me.
Okay, yeah, I like that one.
That painting was done about a year ago.
Okay.
And maybe about 6 months after I started using this particular paint process.
Mm-hmm.
And it was right at the time when I was starting my own spiritual practice.
Mm.
And I call that painting Casey's Flute Song.
Oh, interesting. Well, I see an angel there, kind of like it's just, you know,
Right.
like it's been all over.
What's interesting about the paint process is that it's completely abstract.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're painting, you don't see any of the images.
Really?
And it's not until afterwards, sometimes even days, weeks, or even years later, you continue to see images.
How interesting.
What's amazing to me is that how do you pick the colors that you're going to use?
Mm.
After we do our prayer and our invocation, I ask the participants to just close their eyes and really just let go and let Spirit give them about 4 or 5 colors. And then those are the colors that we start with. But we only start with one color at a time.
And what is the prayer?
I don't know it by heart, but it's an invocation that asks Divine Spirit and Divine Love to be with us and hold us, so that we can surrender, and so we can come from a place of humility and just open up to what our highest level self, our ego, our soul is trying to tell us.
Now, does each piece have a certain expression that may change over the years? Like, for instance, when we look at this piece here, I see so many facial images,
Right.
which I know are not done out of intention.
Correct.
And you have this angel, or it could be Cocopelli as well.
Correct.
And he's got this flute, but it could also be a microphone that he could be celebrating and singing. You know, there's so much going on in each piece, but the energy off of it, or the feeling that I get off of it, it feels really good, you know? So what are you receiving out of it?
When I first stood back and looked at it, the thing that I noticed first was the kind of that hollow-looking guy. That's kind of a skeletal, and I knew right away that it was energy that was painful and sad, and that's the first thing I saw. And it took me maybe 2 or 3 weeks to kind of figure out what it was for me. And one of the things that's unique about the paintings is that everybody sees different things, just like Carolina, you saw an angel. And actually that particular image didn't have an outline to it. When it was first painted, there was no outline.
Wow.
And after I did a meditation with it, I saw the Cocopelli. And then I asked my counsel, should I go back and just add a few pieces to outline it, to kind of save it? And they said, you know, if you want to. So for me, I see a Cocopelli.
Well, I don't know what a Cocopelli is, though.
It's a Native American spirit. Yeah.
And I think the Cocopelli has a flute.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason I call it Casey's Dream is because my son was going through some, where we're both going through difficult, severe loss. And this, to me, was his way of creating his dreams and kind of singing his dreams, and my way of really letting go of him.
Now, if we can go back a little bit, because I usually like to find out what got you to where you're at right now.
Right.
So can we go back a little bit in time and find out what occurred in your life that led you to do what you're doing today? Because I knew you were a teacher.
Right.
A regular teacher.
Right, right.
In a junior high, right?
Actually, elementary school.
Elementary school.
Right.
But then something happened in your life that turned everything around. What was that?
Right. I lost my husband.
Okay. And after that occurred, did things start changing in your life right away or slowly or?
I would say probably right away, because I'm the type of person that when change occurs, it seems as if I've never really been afraid of change. Of course, I say that, and I realize that that's probably pretty silly. But when my husband passed over, I took a leave of absence from my second grade classroom, and I spent the rest of the year just fanatically focused on healing myself.
Wow.
Good for you.
Awesome.
And I read, I prayed, I meditated, I went to lectures, I went to, I studied, I did really deep personal reflection.
Sure.
And at centers like John's. And I needed a teacher. I needed a foundational program. I knew I needed a teacher. And actually, I found two. One was Valerie Rogers, and she's the one that introduced me to this paint process. And then my second teacher is Willow Tequilo, and she is currently my spiritual guide and teacher in a program called Sacred Reflections. So my life just didn't about change. I went back to school for one more semester or one more year, and then I retired. I said, I've got other things to do.
And now, when you took your first class, you say it was with Valerie Rogers?
Yes.
What was it for you? Was it an aha moment?
Absolutely.
Like, this is my calling.
Yep. Yeah. Immediately.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you've got two great teachers, Willow and Valerie.
Correct.
What are the differences for you that you're receiving?
Well, from Valerie, I received the actual paint process itself and her permission to share it and, spread it with people so that they can create the joy and the healing that comes from this kind of painting. And from Willow, her program has provided me a specific spiritual path, and it's my foundation for my life.
It really sounds like God has really led you, though.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because you've searched.
Yeah, and asked.
And asked.
And received.
Now, when you're doing your paintings, what does it do to you as an individual? I read a little bit some information on you, and it's all about love and humbling yourself. And
Right.
I mean, that's awesome, because if we can all be like that, wow, that would be great.
Well, when you paint from that place of humility and surrender, then your highest level self, your highest potential, that energy comes out in your painting. So it's not really painting, it's more like moving color.
Wow.
And we use a sock. We don't use paintbrushes.
You're kidding.
No,
So this is not guided in any way. You're not using
not
a
in any way.
paintbrush.
Not in any way.
Oh, my goodness.
Right. And a lot of water. And the water, to me, kind of, water holds and water flows. And when you use a lot of water in the paint process, it seems to accentuate the spirit that's coming through. So it...
Now you said you use a sock.
Right?
Are there any other types of instruments that people use, like their hands?
Absolutely.
Their toes?
There's just something about your hands that just really getting in there, and what Valerie calls scrubbing it in, scrubbing the color in, and using paint and seeing how colors, what happens when they touch each other, and kind of creating layers.
What is the most obscure instrument that you recall someone used?
Their nose.
Their nose, their toes,
I'm thinking someone just a couple of weeks ago.
their sleeve.
Well, I think I saw Don, Meg's husband, he actually was using his fingernails to create what I saw was he was creating a net of light.
Wow.
He had this big yellow flow coming through from the corner of his painting, and he used his fingernails to kind of make this grid.
That's powerful.
Yeah. I don't know what he saw, but that's what I saw. But everyone sees and feels differently, and you, when you're in the paint process, you feel it in your body. And I asked the participants to try to be aware of, what are you thinking, what are you feeling, sensing in your body, and where are you sensing it, and then what are the feelings that you're experiencing.
So if I'm getting this straight, you don't put any images on there.
None.
Everything just appears?
It does. It's the most amazing thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you continue to see things. I have some paintings that I've had for 3 years, and I'll look at them differently, and I'll see something else.
Wow, what an amazing process.
It's just, it truly is.
When you're in the process itself and you're moving the paint around, sometimes you see images in it, and I'm sure the ego may want to get involved a little bit and say, oh, I want to save that. But do you have a way of kind of moving ego out of the way so it's not about that?
Whoa.
Well,
Good question.
the process itself, because you're using a sock, tells the brain that you're not painting. So that's kind of letting go. And every 15 minutes, we turn the canvas.
Oh, no control.
So
What do you mean turn the canvas?
literally
Physically.
turn the canvas. Turn it a quarter turn and paint from that perspective. And 15 minutes later, another quarter turn. So you have to surrender each time you turn to whatever you thought it was.
Oh my
So there's your letting go of the ego. You just got to let go.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Now, while you're painting, what are you feeling?
I remember this particular painting. I was kind of sub-vocalizing, and I was going, oh, ee, oh. I was kind of going, oh my gosh, Linnea, what am I doing? It was kind of funny. And I just remember just loving it, you know.
Wow.
But sometimes you kind of get stuck, and you might feel timid or unsure, and you kind of have to step back and, let go again. And so sometimes sadness.
So it can be an emotional process.
Absolutely. It is.
No.
It's emotional.
Of
It's
letting
healing.
Go. The emotional part is you're feeling it, but you're letting it go and you're healing through it.
Exactly.
Whoa.
Very healing.
That's heavy.
It really is healing.
Wow.
In fact, our friend Meg said at the last session that when she got done with her first painting, she found about a week later, she just cried.
Whoa.
For almost, she said it seemed like the entire day. And once it was out and gone. And
good for her.
And Gabby
That's powerful.
said that she had the most worst case of acne she'd ever had.
Wow, talk about release.
Darn on her face.
Yeah,
You know?
coming out.
Yeah.
Wow. Can you share a little bit about this other piece that you've brought?
I can share a little bit because that is my most recent painting. And I'm still meditating with it. I have it in my bedroom. It's close to me all the time. It's still communicating to me, and so I'm still in the process of figuring it out. But some of the things that I've gotten from it so far is that there's the number 5 is important because those are my 5 spiritual qualities from which I'm living. I'm starting to learn sacred geometry from Willow, and so the circle for me at this time in my studies it represents the energy of magic.
Oh.
And when you combine that with the diamond shape, which is divine faith and divine knowing, right now, for me, I'm working on divine knowing through human magic.
Oh.
So, and today is an example. When I can come from a place of humility and truth, then magic happens, like being here.
Wow.
Oh,
So that's kind of, and the colors, aqua is in
those
sacred
colors.
geometry is wisdom and divine knowing. And that real pretty orange, kind of golden orange up at the top is divine soul. So I have no idea what that arrow is yet, but and I haven't signed this painting yet because I keep turning it because I still don't really know from what
side you want it to be.
Yeah.
Or maybe you can just, any way you turn it, that's fine.
That's a choice. That's a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so interesting. Yeah, there's the arrow. I see the arrow.
Yeah.
Ah.
See all the geometric shapes?
Right.
So I can understand why you would feel that resonance with sacred geometry.
But when you're starting, you don't think circles and triangles. It's kind of, they just sort of, you think, okay, well, now that sounds good. That feels right.
I like what you say when you're talking about in the process, you're just moving paint around. It feels very liberating.
Very.
And I'm sure a lot of your students may feel that. What have you seen with the kind of growth that you've seen with a lot of your students? Because some of them do repeat and come back after because they enjoy it so much.
Absolutely. I'm just starting in this teaching. And the students that have come back and have enjoyed it, I think they've expressed that they've actually felt healing. They've expressed that they've felt a measure of self-realization and things that have been revealed to them, and it's very. It just creates such awe and such delight. I think that's probably the most motivating thing.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And the other thing is that they're surprised that it can look beautiful. They don't always look beautiful. I have many that I don't really even like. It's kind of like, but I don't have to like them. We don't have to like them. But many times they really are. They turn out beautiful, and the students go, "Wow, did I do that? Did I do that?"
Do they have their eyes closed when they're doing it? No.
No. But it's because it's so abstract, and because we're relying on spirit. You don't have to have really any artistic ability at all.
John, how did you feel when you painted?
It was so liberating, and it was so exciting, because the seraphim angels came through so strongly through the whole piece, and I didn't even know the symbolism until an angel expert, saying, "Oh, look at all the seraphim angels." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" That's the symbol for the seraphim angels.
Oh my goodness.
And I thought that was really interesting, so I had to look it up, you know. And lo and behold, who's the leader of the seraphim angels but Metatron, who is my guide? So
wow,
it just always makes sense,
wow.
you know. But it is such a fun class, and educational, and healing, and liberating.
Yeah.
So
You have a nice personality.
Thank you.
Yeah, that nice smile in it's real soft-spoken, and it's really neat because you just feel comfortable, automatically comfortable with, talking to you. So that's
Well,
good.
one of my goals is to make the students comfortable.
Yeah.
Because it can be kind of scary to go into, a setting and think that you're going to be creating something in the space of a couple hours. So that's my job. My job is to hold them and provide I kind of think about a basket. I just kind of hold them and provide a space so that they can open up and do what they're going to do.
Wow.
You've been on such an amazing journey of transition and change and growth and expansion. Your spiritual journey has gotten really, really strong over the last couple of years. If we can transport you into the next 5 years, just discussing some of the qualities in your life, what would be some of those qualities? What do you see for yourself?
I see myself taking on a more extensive role in my spiritual program called Sacred Reflections as a new breed healer, as a teacher. I was a master teacher when I was in the school district and taught not only in the elementary grades, but did teacher training nationally.
Wow.
Oh.
So
Wow.
That's impressive.
So
Yeah.
I am a teacher.
Yes.
So, as my youngest son says, "Mom, you're supposed to be retired, and all I do is see you doing homework, and you're teaching again." So, I would say playing a definite role in that. And there are so many people who are starting to awaken right now that I feel like there are tools that I can share to help them in that initial process.
Now, you've seen people turn their lives around. You've seen people because of the painting. How does that feel to you that you've been part of that?
I just feel blessed that I was introduced to it and that I can share that experience with others. There are several people within my spiritual community that have gone through a tremendous amount of change and healing just like I have. So I feel so much a part of a spiritual community as a whole, as all of us together.
And even touching upon that, when you first started doing this modality of teaching, you couldn't have possibly understood the depth and the understanding of how you are affecting people. What does that make you feel?
I just know that I'm learning just as much as they are, and that as they're healing, I'm healing. So I'm just coming from a huge place of gratitude that we can be doing it together and sharing it. And it's just amazing. It's just amazing. It's just really something.
Now, he said, where would you see yourself in 5 years? You're working with your ego. You're working with loving within yourself. What other things are you working with?
I'm working with my 5 spiritual qualities.
Which are?
Which are compassion.
Wow.
Truth. Surrender.
Ooh.
Interaction.
Wow.
And my supreme quality is giving and receiving.
Wow. That's heavy.
So
that's heavy.
Balance.
This work that I'm involved in is my way of giving and receiving through service. You know, this is not a job. It's more like service. It's not more like it is. It's my form of giving back.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
It's just exciting.
That's awesome. Well, you know, I've got something for you. And this is an inspirational award. Got my computer working right this time. So I like to give this to you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being on the show. And this is for you for after.
Great.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
And John, I got to give you one too.
I get an award, huh?
Yes, you're such an awesome person.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
So that'll just a reminder of being on the show and being my co-host and my friend and sharing everything with us. It's been awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Wow. Hey, her phone number's on there. John's phone number's on there. Get a hold of him. Get a hold of me. And let's make things happen. God bless our troops and God bless all of you.
There is hatred, let me bring your love. There is injury, your pardon, Lord. And where there's true faith,